I've been waiting for a grind like this. Yeah. Man, I started on time because we're going to get busy today. I'm doing something I've never done before on this channel, all right? First things first, welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And if you are a believer of the Christian tradition, as I am, you know that we are approaching the day of the Lord. So even though tomorrow's not promised, that day is promised. So remember the future right there. Remember the future. Live in light of that day. Amen. All right. Yeah, we about to get busy. Let it rock. That's what we get ready to do, the homie. That's what we get ready to do. All right, so listen. A couple of days ago, I did a video. I did a video called "Don't Let Kanye Do This to You." All right, and the video wasn't so much an attack on Kanye West as much as it was really reminding us of believers who love when celebrities get saved and then they seem to fall away. Like Kanye West seems like he's wilding right now. One dude said it seems like the demons came back with 7 more and 8 more. I don't know about all that, right? But I talked about that. Like, look, God uses people. Like, if we care about God's glory, then even if people walk away from the Lord, I care about what they did while they were honoring the Lord, at least pretending to be. I'm with Paul, Philippians 1. All right? At the end of that video, don't let Kanye fool you or do this to you. I told you that I had a video for a song called What Happened to Kanye from the album. I'm warning you, do not listen to this album, all right? This is a world premiere, right? I've never done this before on the channel, but I want to show the video, and I'm going to put the link in the description of the actual video. But I wanted to show this video and just give y'all a chance I'm excited about it, as everybody should, right? Anytime you do something, you're proud of it, right? You put in work, you try to make it good, entertaining. We were limited in our resources, but we pulled it off, right? So I want to show y'all this video, and then I want to talk about why I actually did a song, why this video happened, and why the song happened called What Happened to Kanye, all right? First things first, though, let's get to it. Stay with me, because we're going to talk about it afterwards, all right? But for now, let's get to the video, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, What Happened to Kanye by Kirk Kennedy, yours truly. Let's rock.
What happened to Kanye? Dude went from Grace to Grace Jones and Strange. He claimed Jesus walks and was walking with Jesus. And this was a surprise cause he said he was Jesus. Blaspheming for years, they said he's facetious. What if Ye's the gold digger and the nigga was Jesus? Cause he ain't broke. I said yeah, he said he's sus. Malcolm X vibes, he hoodwinking believers. But you gotta hand it to him. Got us calling him genius back when he was on the beats. And we're both on his cities. And it's odd cause he said he be hearing from God. But she recognize his voice and I ain't hearing no Jesus. Maybe it's me, but
I mean, it could be me, you know, I don't know the dude, you know, but I mean, I'm watched like everybody else, man, and when I don't know, man, it could be me, man, but when I hear you say that you hearing from God, but then you saying stuff that's wild, and you a genius, and I don't know, man, I don't know what happened to this man.
What happened to Kanye? From 808s to heartbreaks to broken by Kim K. He said he fears God and don't care what no men say. And said he got the answer, now we all call him Sway. How yay with all things being equal. From George Bush doesn't care about black people to wearing white lives matter on a t-shirt. You became George Bush, peep the knee jerk. I need to pray more for you, but my knees hurt. God was showing you some love, fam, at least flirt. I think you was lying, am I desperate for shock value? How you love Hitler in the ODB mask from Triumph?
Hey, look, man, I gotta be honest. When I saw him on the Alex Jones saying he loved Hitler, man. He had the ODB mask on. Remember from the Trying video? What y'all thought y'all gonna see me? He looked like ODB, man. I don't know what he was. I thought he was trolling, man. I thought he was trying to be ODK or something, man. Just saying whatever to make noise or something.
What happened to Kanye? I watched the documentary to hear what your mom say. It was beautiful, she had your back like slip this. But now that you're back, fam, you act like slit wrist. Killing your own vibe, come on fam, your views are wild. Now you a Jew, Hebrew, Israelite, rhetoric style. The same dudes that said Edomites are all of us now. Don't they know it was a Jew that came to save Gentiles, to make us one people? So if you're a Jew, who cares? Whoever's teaching you the Bible, yeah, is unprepared. Shouts to Sunday service, you still going to service? Cause when you talk, you be making me nervous, it's not worth this.
I mean, I'm nervous because a lot of people, he talking like he a Christian and for God, and maybe he believes, man, but he's saying wild stuff that they could throw all of us under the bus. You know, and then the Hebrew Israelite, I don't get that, man. A Jew came to save Gentiles, man, and died for us all. Who cares if you a Jew? We all going to heaven if we believe in the Lord. I don't know, man. What happened to Kanye?
Why you acting like because he can rap, he's not a sinner? Just because she's beautiful and she's fat, she's still a sinner. Yeah, I know they won awards cause they act, but they are sinners. Just because they're getting angry at that, they're still a sinner. Man, them dudes can hit from half court a lot, but they are sinners. Yeah, I know they wrote some books that you bought, but they are sinners. Yeah, I know they got the best looking cars, but they are sinners. Yep, YouTube made a lot of them stars, but they are sinners. It's ironic that we're always talking gold about people that worship Baphomet. Children of the corn, a pentagram in their bassinet. They like the little horn from Daniel that was that blasphemous. Because they entertain, we rarely say what their status is.
World premiere. What happened to Kanye? Appreciate it. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it. Mark, thank you, homie. Appreciate it. Yeah, that transition I threw in at the last minute. Wasn't going to do that at first. So let me talk a little bit about why I did this song. This song is actually months old. Even though, and I dropped the video now because it still applies to Kanye West. Now, he's getting a lot of buzz right now because of two things. One, because he just dropped a Super Bowl commercial that was like really basic, but he's doing independent music. And apparently, so the Super Bowl was around Usher, right? The Usher was the halftime show of the Super Bowl. And what they did was Apple Music was in cahoots with the Super Bowl to really launch. So Usher dropped a new album on the Super Bowl. There were three things that happened. Some of y'all may know this by now. Usher dropped a new album on the Super Bowl, all right? All the promotion on Apple Music was for that. Beyonce dropped a new song for a country album, which I won't listen to it. But apparently she had a big promotional push, all that. Kanye West did a low-budget commercial and ended up having the #1 album in the country, right? Like after a couple of Apple Music took it off, put it back on, all that stuff, all that. So he's in the press a lot and all of that. The real reason why I wanted to release this video now and talk about it is because I feel like Kanye West, as someone who professed to believe, has the potential to, I think he has the potential to confuse a lot of people. Now, because now Kanye West is saying that he's not on meds anymore. Like he said that was the wrong diagnosis and that they were giving him meds that made him fat and all that, losing his mind. So he's basically saying wasn't nothing wrong with him. Now he's not claiming mental health like he used to. So there's just a lot of confusion about it. And I just wanted to ask a question that many people are asking, like what happened to Kanye? If you are a believer and you had confidence in his faith, it can't be like, man, what happened? Like, why are all these people who profess to believe in the Lord not able to persevere in the Lord? Like, why is it that in this day and age, so many people who say they know God want to believe in God? Let me tell you why I think this is happening. And I think it's because of what Jesus said in Mark chapter 8, all right? So I'm not going to put this on the screen, But in Mark 8, I believe it was verse 31, all right, this is what Jesus says. I'm going to read this bad boy, and this is what I think is happening. There's a gospel dilemma that's happening right now in our culture, and make sure that you don't fall victim to this, all right? So here's what Jesus said. In Mark 8:34, this is what Jesus says. And calling the crowd to him with his disciples, he said to them, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me, right? For whoever would save his life would lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it, all right? So a lot of people don't process this, I think, but in this day and age, the gospel proclamation is not what Jesus said in Mark 8, all right? The gospel proclamation today is like, God loves you, believe in him, or put your faith in Jesus, which all is good things. They're not bad in and of themselves, but they're missing a key component. Here's what Jesus said. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me, right? So Jesus gave sort of what I call the three-prong gospel call. It has three components to it. It's seamless, but there's three components. And this is why people like Kanye West, famous worship leaders, Katy Perry, all these people are walking away from Jesus Christ. And I hope that you don't do that. And let me tell you what's really happening. It's because what Jesus said here. Three prongs to this gospel, right? The first is deny. If anyone will come after me, he must deny himself, all right? The second is take up his cross. And the third is follow me. We live in a Christian era where the gospel message has been reduced to follow Jesus, right? And it's not clear what that means, but it's like, hey, follow Jesus. So you get one of the three things that Jesus said: deny himself, take up his cross, follow me, right? Everyone is saying, we'll preach, hey, follow Jesus, put your faith in Jesus. Good. We want to say that. The problem is, in this day and age, we've taken out the other two parts that what Jesus said. So he said, if anyone would come after me, he must do three things. The first is deny himself. We live in a culture where there's no denial of self mandate among believers. So, and this is where you get like, I'm not a big going after like a Michael Todd or Stephen Furtick type people, but this is where you get gospel presentations that talk a lot about your purpose and what God's going to give you. And you know, it's not a prosperity gospel like name it, claim it. It's a prosperous gospel, right? Like nobody in those churches that I'm aware of, I don't listen to their teachings, so I could be wrong, but no one is being taught you may have to suffer for his name's sake. You got to persevere to the end. You know, you may suffer, but count it joy when you suffer trials of various kinds. That's what James said. But what you hear is this: you don't have to deny yourself. You're waiting for God to give you the things that you desire. And I just think it's a bad interpretation. And then we talk to people and we tell people, hey, put your faith in Jesus, trust him. Okay, cool, I'm going to follow Jesus. But they don't realize, okay, so the first step to following Jesus is deny myself. Well, deny myself what? Well, if you think about Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 11, Paul lays out this perspective, and he says, have this mind among yourselves, which is also yours in Christ Jesus. That he did not count equality with God a thing to hold on to or to be grasped, but limited himself, right? So Jesus said, look, I'm fully God, but in order to be a human being, I'm going to deny myself the right to access the qualities of being fully God. And so he wasn't not fully God. He just said, I'm going to deny myself the right to use those, because a human body can't contain the fullness of God if he allows himself to do all of it, right? So he said, I'm going to humble myself because I need to be a human being. I'm going to deny myself the right to access these qualities, right? So when Jesus says, if anyone will come after me, he must deny himself, he's saying that because that's what it means to imitate him. You got to deny yourself. You got to do what I'm doing. If you're going to come after me, you got to do what I'm doing. And the first thing I did was deny myself, right? So what are we denying ourselves? We're denying ourselves the right to the pleasures of sin that we had before. That's what we're denying ourselves. We don't have any godlike qualities, but what I'm denying, and let's be honest, sin is pleasurable. I could walk you through many verses to show you that, like even Moses, Hebrews 11, I think 20, and Moses chose to be with the Israelites rather than enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin, right? There's plenty of verses in the New Testament that highlight sin is pleasurable, right? So when we become believers, we deny ourselves the right to give into those pleasures of sin, and we deny ourselves. I mean, when I first became a believer, I'm a street dude, right? So I used to get zooted. Hey, yo, hey, you want to hit that? I mean, I used to get smacked, right? And I remembered when I became a believer, I was like, man, I gotta stop getting high. And it was hard because I enjoyed it. It didn't have the kind of biological, addiction that like a heroin would, but it was psychological. But I just didn't want to give it up. So I, at one point, just said, you know what? I'm gonna probably just be high till I die. I won't smoke every day. But I imagine being a grandfather blazing with hang with his grandkids. Now, it was hard to give up, but because I had faith in Jesus, I needed to do it. I needed to deny myself all those pleasures. And we live in a time where you don't have to deny yourself, Christian. You don't deny yourself anything. You don't. You have to receive from God the things that you want, but you don't deny yourself. So we have a whole sexual ethic that is turned upside down because none of those people feel like they're supposed to deny themselves. Everyone thinks love is love, whatever it is. You don't have to deny yourself. You just have to follow Jesus, but and that's not the gospel. And this is why many Christians professing believers will hear, I never knew you, because you wanted to follow Jesus, but you didn't want to deny yourself. He said, if anyone would come after me, Mark 8:34, he must first deny himself, take up his cross, follow me. We live in a time where everyone says, follow Jesus, put your hope in Jesus. Okay, cool, I did that, but I don't deny myself. And that's why so much of the church is struggling. We don't deny ourselves. The second prong of the three things, he said, take up your cross, deny yourself, take up your cross, follow me. Take up your cross, right? So denying self is you're denying yourself the right to give in to the sins that you used to enjoy, stuff like that. Take up your cross means you're choosing to suffer because you believe in Jesus. Now, when Jesus said, take up your cross, nobody had tattoos with crosses on it back then. It wasn't like this cool thing, like a loving thing. People thought Jesus was crazy. Take up your cross. What? You mean the thing that the Romans kill people with? That's the worst form of suffering we've ever experienced. And Jesus was saying, take up your cross before they knew he was going to take one up for them. They didn't know that. Sometimes when you read the Bible, right, in order to really get from it, and you got to read it not from knowing what's going to happen, but read it thinking at the moment that this was said, what did the people think and believe? Don't read it from the standpoint of, oh, why would they why would they not want to take up their cross? It's beautiful. No. Back then, nobody was trying. It would be like somebody come to you saying, hey, look, if you want to be righteous, man, tattoo an electric chair on your arm. Take up your electric chair. Take up pointing a gun to your head with a fully loaded clip. You would be like, nah, I'm not playing with it. Nah. When Jesus said, take up your cross, people were like, huh? Take up your cross. They didn't know he was going to die on the cross. What he was saying is, look, if you're going to follow me, you're going to come after me, you got to do the same things I'm doing, right? So the first thing I did was I denied myself the right to be fully God, the right to act on it. You got to deny yourself the right to give in a sin. The second thing is you got to take up a cross. You got to choose to suffer because I didn't come down here just to be a cool dude. I came to suffer. So you got to choose to suffer. Here's why a lot of Christians today don't like this part, because we want to choose our suffering. And that's not what the gospel is. We choose to suffer, but we don't choose our suffering, right? I want to choose how I suffer. I want to be sovereign over my suffering. I don't want people to betray me. I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to put myself out there and get my feelings hurt. I don't want to get corrected. I don't want to trust people. I don't want to, we want to control, we want to be sovereign over our suffering. And that's not how it works. When we say we're going to follow Jesus, I'm going to deny myself. I'm choosing to suffer, and that's whatever he gives me because I'm following him. I'm choosing to suffer. Jesus chose his suffering. We don't get to. We choose to suffer, not our suffering. Law statement in the modern church era. People they just tell you, follow Jesus, right? You don't have to deny yourself. You don't need to suffer because everything that you're denying and everything that you want, God wants for you too, just because you want it. Man, please. Remember in Acts 9 when God, when he was Saul at the time, when God blinded him, knocked him off his horse and blinded him, and then he was staying in a place for 3 days. He was blind, and then Jesus told a guy named Ananias, "Hey, go and lay hands on Saul, and so he can see and all that." And Ananias was like, "Saul who? The dude that was killing all the people, the believers? Lay hands on Saul?" And Jesus was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh Lord, I don't know about that, fam." This is the Kurt translation. "Fam, I don't know about that." Right? And the Lord said, "Nah, lay hands on him. I will show him how much he must suffer for my name's sake." You notice he didn't tell Paul how much he was going to suffer. He told Ananias, "I'm going to show him. I ain't going to tell him," because if Paul knew he was going to suffer in all the ways he said in 2 Corinthians 11, he might have been like, "Man, I don't know, Lord. I don't know if I feel like following you, bro." Like we don't get that Paul didn't choose his suffering, but he chose to suffer, and we choose to suffer. This is what's missing from the modern gospel. It's if you want to come after Jesus, you must deny yourself, take up your cross, follow him. Many of us, either you're watching live or later, struggle with that. We don't deny ourselves sin, and so we fall. We're beaten down. We live in sexual sin. We live in fear of man. We live in gossip, and so we live with all these things. And even me, I struggle with some sins. It's taken me too long to be disciplined in some areas. So we all have that, but we got to get to a point where we say, "Hey, listen, part of what it means to follow Jesus is to deny myself." What am I denying myself? I'm denying myself the justifications that I make when I give in to sin, right? I deny myself the right to be bitter at someone because they hurt me. Because this is the sentence. This is the sentence you just said to yourself. I have a right to sin when fill in the blank. And that's what happens. When I'm counseling people all the time, they're in conflict and they're just unrelenting, unfit, all of it. And I'm just like, so help me understand this. So you're saying you have the right to sin against your husband when he does this to you. Is that what you're saying? Well, no. Well, that's functionally what you're doing, though, right? You have the right to sin against your spouse or your children because they didn't. That's how we think. And it's like, no, part of what it means to follow Jesus is I deny myself the right to do that. You know what else Jesus denied himself the right? Denied himself the right to execute judgment. Can you imagine what it would have been like to be God walking around on the earth that you created and you don't recognize it? People don't recognize you. They don't even like you. You got people who are supposed to be preaching about you, waiting for you, turning against you. I mean, you just walking around, everything you see is not what you, the temptation to destroy everything might have been real for him. But he was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm denying myself the right to get angry at and pour my wrath out. I'm going to suffer and receive my own wrath. I want to receive the fullness of the wrath." At that point, no one in human history had done that. So this is why I think people like Kanye, these different people walk away. It's because, hey, man, if I suffer, I want something from it. I think a lot of Christians have a prosperous gospel theology. Not prosperity, prosperous. Like, I deserve to be married. Like, why am I still single? I deserve to be have a promotion. I work harder than these people. I deserve to have my children do this and do that. This is what happens. And I think it's destroying a lot of people. So you have a person like a Kanye who hey, I have a right to, I'm going to proclaim God. But you know what, though? You know when Kanye left the faith, honestly, this is what I think. I'm speak out, not the Lord, right? This is when Kanye West really started to leave the faith, when him and Kim Kardashian broke up. When you become a believer, you go through tests shortly after it. God tests you, right? This is God is famous for this in the Old Testament, especially in the Pentateuch. God's going to test the Israelite. I'm going to test them and see, right? I think he lost Kim Kardashian in a public way, right? She started dating Pete Davidson, and it was just shameful. And I think it was a test that the Lord gave him, and I think he couldn't handle it. He started to lose himself. He was offended, and I get it. He was offended. It was embarrassing to see this dude who was a flunky for real. Who cared about David? That dude. I forgot. I just said his name. I forgot about. But who cares? I mean, all of a sudden now this comedian on Saturday Night Live is dating one of the most sought after women in the world. Right after she gets separated from Kanye West. I don't even know if they were divorced fully yet before she got into that relationship. That's embarrassing. Embarrassing. I think that's when Kanye started to think, "Man, I don't know about this." It was embarrassing. He was losing his mind. He was threatening the dude live. I think that's when it happened. And then eventually, now we're at a point where we don't recognize the Kanye West who in 2019 was doing Sunday service, and that's why this song is here. So listen, I'm gonna wrap up. I appreciate y'all watching it. Go back and watch this video, but I'm gonna put a link to the actual video. I would appreciate it. I don't ask y'all for much. I would appreciate it if you would go watch the original video, the actual video. It should be out now on YouTube. Watch the actual video. I'll put a link. Comment, share it, and have a conversation, because this is really for believers. What happened to Kanye? What happened to this dude? So I definitely, man, I appreciate y'all. And a couple of comments in the joint. Let me just see. Joint late, but I'm digging the Blender song. Dope joint. Album with fire. Go cop that. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's the dog right here. The Detroit dog right here. It's the dog right here. Seiko, what's up? That's what I'm talking about. That's how we do it. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think so too, bro. Right. We need to rap, bro. It's the real. So anyway, I appreciate y'all, man. Go back and check out the video. Link will be in the description. Like and subscribe. But more than that, I would rather you go watch the original video, share that joint, press that around. I appreciate it. It's a lot going on. I think this is just me. I think Kanye, he needs to have a conversation with us. And I don't mean me like on cross-examine. I just mean to the believers, man. Stay where you at, bro. Don't keep acting like you still believe and you just wilding right now. I honestly think losing Kim Kardashian rocked him. It was that test. The Lord tests his people. It was that test, and it was like, boom. You know what I'm saying? So go back, watch this video if you want to see how the world premiere laid out. But the link will be in the description of the video. T-Dog, what's up, baby? Link will be in the description for the actual video. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy your Friday night. Grace and peace.